Did you know that yoga can be used whether you feel like you're escalating into overwhelm or going down the rabbit hole into lethargy or apathy? In yoga, we have a model of three gunas. These are three energy patterns. One is called Sattva, which means that we're in our sattvic, loving, tranquil place of equanimity and ease. We feel radiant, we feel grounded, we feel capable, we feel connected to the world around us. Another of those gunas is called Tamas, where we feel like we've gone kind of down the rabbit hole into lethargy or apathy, or we're retreating, withdrawing, we're hiding, we're numbing out. Now, Tamas as an element, as a pattern of energy, really just means stable. But when we go down this rabbit hole past stable into helpless or hopeless or depressed or collapsed, we call that a tamasic imbalance. It's tamas out of balance. And then we have another form of energy. The third guna is called rajas. And sometimes rajas can simply be a clear sense of motivation, energy, direction. We know what we need to do and where we're going and how we're doing that for our personal development. It can also be your professional development, but rajas is like your energy is organized and you can direct it. But when rajas goes out of balance, it becomes a kind of chaotic frenzy, as if you're going on these switchbacks up a mountain to nowhere. You just feel more and more ungrounded, like very energized, but not directed, and kind of scattered like that. So that's called rajas when it's like that. So these three forms of energy also line up with our nervous system language here in the West. So ironically, yoga and neuroscience match up right here. And these three nervous systems are called your ventral vagal parasympathetic nervous system, when you feel the Sattva guna, the dorsal vagal parasympathetic nervous system, when you're in the Tamas guna and you've gone out of balance, and then the sympathetic nervous system, when you're in the rajas guna and you've kind of lost your wits. You don't have your sense of self about you. So we can do practices that help us to come back to sattva. If we know that we've become tamasic, if we know we've become rajasic, we can help bring ourselves back to sattva. Even better, we can prevent ourselves from having to go to tamas, out of balance, or rajas, out of balance. And we can do that with the tools of yoga. So let's take a comfortable seat for a few moments and just let that settle in, what I was saying there, and see how this influences you today to understand how to work with your energy patterns, because it's a physical experience, physiological, neurological, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Good morning. Welcome to yoga practice. Did you know that yoga can be used whether you feel like you're escalating into overwhelm or going down the rabbit hole into lethargy or apathy? In yoga, we have a model of three gunas. These are three energy patterns. One is called Sattva, which means that we're in our sattvic, loving, tranquil place of equanimity and ease. We feel radiant, we feel grounded, we feel capable, we feel connected to the world around us. Another of those gunas is called Tamas, where we feel like we've gone kind of down the rabbit hole into lethargy or apathy, or we're retreating, withdrawing, we're hiding, we're numbing out. Now, Tamas as an element, as a pattern of energy, really just means stable. But when we go down this rabbit hole past stable into helpless or hopeless or depressed or collapsed, we call that a tamasic imbalance. It's tamas out of balance. And then we have another form of energy. The third guna is called rajas. And sometimes rajas can simply be a clear sense of motivation, energy, direction. We know what we need to do and where we're going and how we're doing that for our personal development. Can also be your professional development, but rajas is like your energy is organized and you can direct it. But when rajas goes out of balance, it becomes a kind of chaotic frenzy, as if you're going on these switchbacks up a mountain to nowhere. You just feel more and more ungrounded, like very energized, but not directed, and kind of scattered like that. So that's called rajas when it's like that. So these three forms of energy also line up with our nervous system language here in the West. So ironically, yoga and neuroscience match up right here. And these three nervous systems are called your ventral vagal parasympathetic nervous system, when you feel the Sattva guna, the dorsal vagal parasympathetic nervous system, when you're in the Tamas guna and you've gone out of balance, and then the sympathetic nervous system, when you're in the rajas guna and you've kind of lost your wits. You don't have your sense of self about you. So we can do practices that help us to come back to sattva. If we know that we've become tamasic, if we know we've become rajasic, we can help bring ourselves back to sattva. Even better, we can prevent ourselves from having to go to tamas, out of balance, or rajas, out of balance. And we can do that with the tools of yoga. So let's take a comfortable seat for a few moments and just let that settle in, what I was saying there, and see how this influences you today to understand how to work with your energy patterns, because it's a physical experience, physiological, neurological, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So please rest your hands in your lap and close your eyes. And let's imagine that we're gonna address first the tamas guna. When we get kind of lethargic or apathetic, we fall down that rabbit hole. So let's imagine the place that you sometimes go when that is what's happening. And often in that place, we might even be like curled up, or we're under the covers, or we're slouching on the couch, or, we've had the numbing activity. So just imagine what that's like. And I'm going to ask you to do something relatively simple but effective. With your inhale, squeeze your two hands into fists. With the exhale, open your hands wide, spread your fingers and your thumbs. Inhale, squeeze your hands into fists. Exhale, spread your fingers wide. Again, inhale to squeeze. Exhale, spread your hands open. And do that twice more. Now, as you come to that last repetition, let your hands go limp over your knees. And notice the subtlety of energy moving in your hands, like they might feel a little bit warmer or a little bit tingly. Let's imagine. So that's one action that you could do to move from tamas towards sattva. And we use these pretty mild activities to help pull ourselves from a tamasic downward spiral back to sattva. We do not need to punish ourselves, berate ourselves, torture ourselves, or like swing the pendulum from tamas like rajas, and now I'm going to go all out and like exercise compulsively and restrict. So we just use this mild technique initially to move ourselves from a tamasic state back towards sattva. Now we're going to do another simple activity. And by the way, you can do this action in your office, at your desk, at a restaurant, on the bus, on the plane, wherever you need to do it. Now we're going to go to the ears, and I'm going to ask you to put your thumbs on the inside of the ears, fingers behind, and start just massaging the ears themselves. You can pull your earlobes away from your head also. Because these practices are adjusting your nervous system, you could use them whether you feel escalated or dull, whether you've gone to rajas or tamas. But I'm associating these ones right now with the tamas guna. So as you continue massaging the ears, pull your earlobes away from your head a little bit and massage the inside and the back side of the ear. And then switch your hands. You're going to come down with your fingers, your index fingers inside the ear and the thumbs behind the earlobes. And let's pull out and down on the earlobes. And then I'd like you to take your first two fingers, so your index finger and your middle finger, behind the ears and massage that part of your scalp. Like make little circles right behind the ears. And you're going to go down the curve of the ears in these tiny little circles. Right behind the ear. When you get to the place where the bone ends and it becomes softer, be gentle. It might cause you to salivate when you're massaging right there. And then bring your fingers down to rub along the sides of the neck. There's a muscle here called the sternocleidomastoid muscle. And we're going to come down on the sides. And you can do that with the two fingers you were just massaging behind your ears. You come down towards the place where the collarbones meet the sternum. So it's from right behind the ear, down the neck. It's like on a diagonal to the place where the sternum and the collarbones meet. You can go ahead and do that one more time. And then take your left hand, tip your head a little bit to your right and see if you can find that muscle. It's actually called the SCM. When you tip your head, it goes a little bit slack. So, and then you're going to, between your index finger and thumb, give a little massage. And you come down towards the place where the collarbone meets the sternum. And then raise your head up and tip your head over to your left and take your right hand. Massage along the side of the muscle. You might notice that the two muscles, left side, right side, are quite different. Mine are quite different. I have had a number of car accidents, and the left side of my neck, the left SCM, is definitely tighter than the right side. Go ahead and come up to center, and let's then see how are things feeling. So if you imagined yourself in a place of like feeling really tamasic, this would just nudge you into a little bit of action. Now, again, I can help the sympathetic nervous system to also calm down, but sometimes with that rajas, we actually have to do a very rajasic thing to captivate rajas and bring it back to sattva. We'll do that in a few minutes. We'll do one more thing here for the tamas guna. When you feel like you just can't even move, or you're not worth practicing yoga about, or you feel like the amount of self-esteem has gone down, and why would you do anything to care for yourself? Believe me, we all know those places in hunger, hope, and healing, and we don't want you to succumb to that. So now we're going to take the first three fingers here and just you're tapping, like this kind of rhythm, tapping above your eyebrows towards your hairline. And then go a little bit wider. And then over to the temples and to your hairline. And kind of going back and forth there between the temples and the hairline. And then go over your eyebrows really lightly. Start at the center. Over to the corners of the eyes, and then go under the eye sockets. And let's go onto the bridge of the nose. Probably that's just 2 fingers. And come down to where the nostrils meet your cheekbones. And let's do 3 fingers again as you go from the cheekbones and the nostrils over towards your hairline again. So we're kind of going on the latitude of your face. And then go right under your cheekbones over to the hinge of your jaw. So you're right there at the ear. Please be thoughtful with yourself. You can also come across to the upper lip and then across the upper teeth. Loosen the jaw so your lower jaw hangs down from your upper jaw. And then go to the lower jaw, the lower lip, and your chin, and then across your jawline and back to the chin. And then let's across the hands and do a little tapping down the SCM. And then come into uncross your hands and come to the sternum. You've got that presence there between your fingers and your sternum. Now rest your hands in your lap. And notice that these first 3 activities, they're really just about bringing some energy back in if you've kind of gone what we call below the line. You drop below the line of your personal window of tolerance. You've gone down. So this can help to bring you back into some function gently. Okay, now let's ask, what do you do if you've actually been escalating into that rajas guna? So we're going to stand up. You can put your blankets aside if you were using them. And as you rise up to standing, let's place the feet so they're a little bit more than hip distance apart. Now, sometimes what's happening, our nervous system is getting activated into a rajasic mode, and we've gotten emotionally, mentally, and physically activated too. And other times it could be that we drank coffee or had extra caffeine, or you had really poor sleep and you're trying to navigate the world and there's pressures upon you, which feels like it's going up, up like that. So make 2 fists. We're going to swing the fists back and then fly the fingers open. We're going to cross the hands. This is a brisk inhale through the nose and a brisk exhale through the nose. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now inhale, raise your arms up. And exhale, bend your knees, come down and forward. Relax the entire torso, your head, neck, and shoulders, your hair, your eyes, your lips, your tongue, your arms, fingers, and thumbs. And allow yourself to breathe in deeply. Let's imagine that on the inhale, the back of your body kind of parachutes up a little bit because the breath expands your lungs and the whole body rises gently. And then exhale like you're sighing. And do that twice more. Big breath in. And one more time. And then place your hands on your hips and rise up to standing. And let's take a wide stance about the length of one leg. So let's say that you kind of got, escalated and we're trying to bring you back down. A wide stance, one leg length apart. Go ahead and come forward and down. This is called Prasarita Padottanasana. You can touch your fingertips to the floor or to some yoga blocks. Now the head is lower than the heart, so this tends to bring us more inward and downward. And I'm going to ask you to make a little bit of movement here so we can help to move from Rajas to Sattva. On the inhale, lengthen your torso forward, like your torso is a curtain on a window with a breeze. On the exhale, bow deeply towards your legs and make as complete an exhale as you can do. Breathe in through your nose for the inhale and out through your nose for the exhale. And do this twice more, please. Inhale, lengthen your spine, expand the torso, lift the base of your skull. Exhale and deeply bow towards your legs. And one more time, breathing in. And then raise your hands to your hips and please rise up to standing. And let's go heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe. And here you are. Now let's take notice. What is different about how your energy feels organized right now? You feel like you're gently coming back from, let's say, Rajas to Sattva. That's what we hope for. But let's say that you've had a pretty significant Rajas and you need a little bit more support to get back to Sattva. We'll do something that has a little bit more emotional vigor to it and purpose. If you bend your knees like you're riding a horse, this is called horse stance. The toes point out. And it's kind of like you're sitting down in your pelvis. There's going to be a rotation here. And we push like this through the heel of the hand when we're going across the body. And one arm pushes out, and that is the arm that says no, like this. The other arm pulls back, and it has this kind of fist action to it. So this is called saying no to say yes. And these are very strong exhale breaths that go out through the mouth. So it's like, and we'll do it rapidly. It goes like this. Five, four, three, two, one. Now inhale, raise up. And make your feet parallel, bend your knees, and exhale, come down, kind of like a rag doll. And come down and rest your mind in your breath. Allow your breath to nourish your body. That means relax any unnecessary tension in the abdomen, in your torso, or also in your mind. And then please raise your hands to your hips. Rise up to standing. And again, we'll go heel, toe, just to come to mountain pose and check in. And notice what's happening now. You're welcome to close your eyes if you like and just feel, okay, how are you ushering yourself back into Sattva? You might feel a little bit spacey, a little bit lightheaded. Your heart rate may still be coming back down. And please come down to the floor. So, making a guess that if our nervous system was escalating into that sympathetic arousal, we may have need of coming back home and kind of getting back into our body. We're going to do a little floor-based practice now that is more simple, more restorative. Let me just check my setting here. Okay, got it. So what we're going to do, when I think of, okay, we've been escalated, we've come back down, we've made it partway home, maybe we're not all the way here yet, or we kind of plummeted and we came a little bit back up. So how are we going to then find ourselves coming into the Sattva guna? Let's take 2 blankets, keep them folded like this and stacked, and put them just to the side for the moment, right over here. Take 2 blocks and place them so you also have them at the ready on the side there. And then come to your hands and knees. This is called table pose. Step your right hand well forward of your left hand and reach back with both hips. Try to keep your right hand grounded, but lift your right wrist, your right forearm, your right elbow. The right armpit should feel like it's lifted, not hammocking towards the floor. Reach back with both hips and breathe into your lower belly. Now, as you let the head relax, turn your head to your left. And you might notice that that stretches a side of the neck, could be your left side or your right side. And then inhale, press down into your right hand. Bring your left hand, press into your left hand, bring your right hand back to table pose. Then take the left hand well forward. Reach back, lower your right elbow to the floor. Keep the left hand grounded, but keep your left arm strong. So you're going to lift even into the armpit. It should not feel like your shoulder is hammocking towards the floor. As you release your head, then turn your head to your right. And breathe in and draw the left hip back so you can feel the left side of your waist kind of opening there. And then as you next inhale, press into your right hand and your left hand, return both hands to the floor. Now I'd like you to put your 2 blocks in place. So you're going to have extra long arms in your table pose. Now in this sequence, we're going to be breathing in through the nose for most of the sequence, but there'll be a place where we blow out through the mouth. We go, and we do that when we're going back down to child's pose. Okay, so place your hands on your 2 blocks and then inhale to cat pose. Exhale to cow pose. Bring your chest and heart forward. Lift your chin, stretch your throat. Inhale to cat pose. And then exhale, blow the breath out through your lips. Slowly, slowly come back to child's pose. And then inhale, roll up to cat pose. Exhale to cow pose. Inhale to cat pose. Exhale, child pose. Blow the breath out. Again. Cow pose. Cat pose. Blowing out. Child's pose. Last one. And then walk your blocks and your hands back towards your knees. Excuse me. And come to kneeling. What we're going to do is place one block now on the flat setting like this, and the second block on the medium setting, and turn it sideways like that. So there is a space between the two blocks, and that's on purpose. Then take your two blankets. And place them on your blocks. And if you don't have blocks and blankets, then what you can do is place something firm under here, like a short stack of books, and second thing here, and then you can use pillows or a couch cushion, whatever it has to be, because really what we're looking for is to come forward like this. And I do want these blankets to touch your abdomen. So we come up close, and then when you bend forward, the head's going to be higher than your heart. And that's why the second block was taller. And the arms fit between the two blocks. So the elbows can kind of dangle towards the floor. This is called supported child's pose. Please turn your head to the right to start. And invite your body to come back in and down. So you're kind of coming home to yourself, as if you'd been in a hot air balloon and you're coming back down to the ground. Notice that your breath will naturally want to find its way into the pelvis, into the pelvic basin. And with your head turned to the right, deeply relax your body, but just take the left arm now and walk it forward alongside your yoga mat. And take your right hand and place it on the floor near your right knee. Press down with your right hand and just give a little twist of your torso to your right. Breathe in. And then exhale, bring your right arm back under the blankets between the blocks, bring your left arm in. Please lift your head and turn it to your left side. You're also stretching your neck right now, and some of us have a very stiff neck. So keeping the left arm relaxed, walk your right hand forward on your yoga mat. Place your left hand on the floor near your left knee. Press down with your left hand and twist your torso a little bit to your left. And then release and return to the child's pose with your arms under your blankets between your blocks. And then place your hands on the floor to press down, rise up to kneeling. Now, it's possible that when you were doing that practice, you might have realized a very common phenomenon, and that is that sometimes our sympathetic nervous system, like we feel profoundly anxious and escalated, but underneath that, we are deeply tired, right? So sometimes you need this kind of restoration to get back to that inner sense of self. So we'll do another restorative pose in a few moments, but let's put these two blocks nearby. I'm sorry, two blankets nearby, and return to your two blocks, please. Let me put this on a diagonal so you can see. I'm going to be holding each block so that my index fingers point a little bit out, and the other three fingers go to the edge, and then the thumb is on the inside. And you're going to place both hands that way. Let's do the hands so they're shoulder width apart. Curl your toes under. Raise your hips up and reach back to downward facing dog pose with the two blocks. And those two blocks mean that we can further move our body weight back into the heels and toes and your legs and hips. So as you press your hands forward, my hope is that your blocks are not sliding. If your blocks do slide, put them in front of the sofa or something like even the, I like the sofa because when you come forward to table pose, you won't hit your head usually. But if that's not an option, you could put your blocks at the baseboard and just know that the wall is close by. And for everyone, as you press back, reach your hips back to elongate your spine. Energize your leg muscles. And breathe deeply into your abdomen. And then inhale, come forward. And if you're at the baseboard, please be aware of the wall. Touch your knees down. Take one block to sit on in Virasana. And that means that you are sitting between your heels. You also could sit on two blocks. That is totally fine. Rest your hands in your lap. Close your eyes. Trying to squeeze out the rajas and also not succumb to tamas, but come back to sattva. So we're weaving through a process here. Let me say that also when we get really activated in rajas, quite likely the nervous system is also picking up and causing what we name as a flinching at the pelvic floor, the psoas, the diaphragm. When we go down to the collapse of tamas, often we're more like fetal position or, slouching. And again, the psoas muscle it's not so much flinching as it is just shortening. And so we're going to stretch the psoas now. And a way that we can do that is to place both blocks, step your right foot forward. Bring your hips forward so that your right knee may be just as far forward as the top of your toes. Keep your right heel on the floor so it's grounded like this. And then allow your hips to ease down towards your right heel. You're stretching your hip flexors and your psoas. Now, ironically, when you want to stretch your psoas muscle, a lot of people think that they have to lift the torso more and get into a big back bend. But ironically, your psoas is only attached up to the top lumbar spine and the bottom thoracic spine, the vertebrae. And so you can more effectively stretch your psoas by pressing down with both arms and make the torso a little bit like cat pose while you keep your hips forward in this lunge pose. So the hips do stay forward. The left hip flexors should feel like they're getting some gentle stretch. And when you press into your arms and bring your head down, you may actually feel the psoas and some of the myofascial area on the front of your left hip. Okay, so let's press down into both hands and your right foot. Curl the left toes under. Now straighten your left leg. This is called the basic lunge. Straighten your right leg. This is called reverse lunge or standing separate leg forward bending pose. Press into both hands, into your right foot and your left toe, and breathe in. And then exhale, turn your left heel down to the floor behind you. Press into your right hand and open to triangle pose. Rotate your pelvis to your left. Rotate your lumbar spine to your left. Mid-torso, chest, heart, and shoulders. Raise your left arm. Let's breathe in. And then exhale, sweep your left arm past your left ear and bring it back down to the block. Okay, and let's bend the right knee. Touch your left knee down to the floor. Put the two blocks on the inside of your right ankle and step backwards. Move the blocks over to the right side. Step your left foot forward. Bookend your left foot with your blocks and come into your right hip flexors. And again, it's okay for your left knee to come forward, kind of in line with the tips of the toes here, but do keep your left heel grounded. And as you're coming forward, press into both hands and make a little action like cat pose with your torso. And feel into your right hip flexors. Allow the breath to be smooth and kind. And curl your right toes under. Straighten your right leg, make it strong. And then straighten your left leg. You can make the blocks taller, or sometimes the hamstring won't let you straighten your leg all the way. It's okay. Let's energize both arms and both legs. Turn your right heel down to the floor sideways. Root your tailbone. Rotate. So your pelvis turns to the right, the low belly turns to the right, the chest and heart, and then raise your right arm. Breathe in. Sweep your right arm past your right ear. And then exhale, lower down. And this time as you touch down, let's bring the left foot back next to the right. And one more time, use your block or two blocks to sit in Virasana. Or in whatever way is comfortable for you, of course. Notice yourself coming back down again and again, coming back down into the Sattva Guna. And then we're going to take these two blankets that we had stored, place them on your mat like this. And please lie on your back with your hips on your blankets. One way to do that is to lie down and then put the two blankets under your pelvis by lifting your hips to get there. Now, it's going to be helpful for many of us, including myself, if you put a block at the end of each blanket, and blanket end, excuse me, because the blocks are going to be like an extension of your blanket. Move to the left side of your blanket, so you're just as far over to the left as you can be. Pick up your knees. And then break both knees down to your right. So you've got this little bit of blanket to land on. You've got your block to land on. If you need, you could use two blocks. So you could put one, like I'm going to show you here, for the ankles, and one for your knees, like this. And when you have the legs supported, please stack your knees to match each other. So you don't have the left knee sliding back behind the right knee. I want them to stack. Take your right hand to your left knee and turn your torso and your heart and your head to your left. As you're rotating to your left, allow the breath to come down into your pelvis, into your abdomen. And inhale, raise your knees back up to center. And let's touch the feet to the floor because we walked to the left side of the blanket. You can now walk to the right side, or you can pick up your hips and move your blankets like you're moving the typewriter bar. Remember the typewriters? And then prepare your blocks to be on the other side. And let's take both knees down to the left. Place your left hand on your right knee. Rotate your torso to your right. It's possible that you have muscles that are tight or tender that you didn't know about. And when you're in the Sattva guna, you're going to respond to those muscles with like love and tenderness. And you might even ask for forgiveness from those muscles. When we're in the rajas guna, we might become irritated with our bodies. And that is not very helpful. So if you found yourself feeling irritated with a sensation, it's a good time to practice a different orientation to yourself. Okay, and now let's use the in-breath to rise up to center. Touch your feet to the floor, and you've got these two blankets already conveniently here. Push the blankets a little forward until they are just in front of your sitting bones. And then you bring your legs out. And maybe your two blankets are like two couch cushions or two pillows. So same thing. Bring those right behind your sitting bones. That means it's going to support you at the back of your hamstrings. Turn the palms face up, and please close your eyes. This is the pose called Shavasana. Allow your body to deeply relax. Shavasana is a time of integration. Invite the relaxation to go more deeply, more completely. You're coming back home to yourself, to your mind and your body, to your heart, to your indwelling self. Allow the relaxation to go more deeply and more completely once again. Invite your mind to become more still, more restful. Allow your body to be deeply relaxed. Now allow your head to roll side to side. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Bring your hands to your heart. Appreciate yourself for making these efforts. Please bend your knees. Roll to your side. And as you raise up from reclining, please come to your meditation seat. Check in again and get like a yoga x-ray. Come into your seat. And the question to ask yourself is, where am I resting now in these gunas? The Tamas guna would feel like stability. Rajas guna feels like motivation with clarity. And the Sattva guna feels like tranquility or equanimity. It has an aliveness, but it's not scattered. Raise your hands to your heart. And you may bow your head to your heart. Thank you for sharing your practice. And if you're watching this on YouTube, as some of you will be, please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button for videos that feel effective for you. It's good feedback for me. And also you can leave questions or comments below the video and I'll come back to check in with those. Thank you once again. Namaste.